Welcome, everybody, to a Delco Nerd Network hot take. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've never seen a hot take before, well, it's where a few friends get in a basement. We like to give our thoughts, give our opinions on a TV show, a movie, or a game. Today, it's going to be a game, and that game is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. My name is Anthony Ragucci, and here to discuss, as always, the triple threat, Chris Trio.
Gooch, I'm ready to talk a little, 14th century Bohemia, right? Or
15th?
15th. I always get them mixed up because it's a year behind, right?
It's top of the... Is it 1400s or 1600s?
I thought it was the 1400s, but it is.
1400.
Yeah, 1400s.
Yeah. I was like, it's like, it's before Assassin's Creed.
Right, yeah.
Ezio is getting ready to be born.
He's not even around, but
No.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to talk a little KCD
And our esteemed guest coming all the way from to us from Belgium, Mr. Lockmort. Thank you for joining us, man. Welcome to DNN.
Hello. No, thank you for inviting me. It's awesome. You guys have such a beautiful setup. Normally, when I guest on podcasts, it's always just two people on a camera, and it's very easy. But you guys made an effort here. That's sorry.
We appreciate it.
Nah, you can curse. You can curse all you want. You're good.
No, thank you. That's very kind. Too kind. We try to put a little bit of effort in here. A little bit, anyways. Yeah.
You know it's funny, kind of funny, definitely inspired the half table look.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
The half moon, just because of like... It makes
back when
sense.
I was listening to Kind of Funny.
Yeah, and that's probably back when I was listening more too. But I feel like the half moon, it's the way to go. You can get like 4, even almost 5 people around this table. But the max I think we've had is like 3.
The problem is we just if we had enough space, we could probably get like 6 people comfortably. But we're backed in here. It may not seem like it's tight, but it's tight.
Well, that's cool. You got a little spare bedroom energy. I like that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Spare basement.
That's absolutely, I like it. Spare bedroom. Yeah.
But yeah, man. I invited you on because I know you're a true fan of this game, and me and Trio, just last year on the podcast, I usually have a game that I go in for the summer. And last year was KCD1. I'm like, I know 2 is I think it was delayed at that point. I know it was 2025 at that point, and I was like, you know what? This game has been on my radar for years, and it's finally time. And it took me from June to December to not only play through the whole game, but get all the achievements, trophies, and what have you. So I really played through it in its entirety. And I know Trio did as well pretty much through all that time. But yeah, I wanted to throw it over you to start it off about your history with the game and, when you started playing it and that sort of thing.
Sure. Well, I started playing it in 2018 when it released on Steam, when it released on PC. The only problem is when it released, it was a Kickstarter game. I figure you guys knew that, right?
It was a Kickstarter game.
Yeah, the first one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was made by the same guy who made Mafia, the original Mafia 1 and 2, even though he got fired in the middle of 2. But it was made by Daniel Vavra, who also made Mafia. And after Mafia, he started his own studios. So he started Warhorse Studios after that. And their first Kickstarter was Kingdom Come Deliverance a long time ago. That was, I think, 2013 or 2014 is when the Kickstarter first popped up. And they got so much money from it that they just kept expanding on it and expanded on it. And then in 2018, they finally released it. But they released it in a pretty abysmal state. Because when I played it for the first time, it was pretty much broken. Quests were broken, combat didn't really work. It lagged for everyone. The FPS was horrible. So throughout the years, from 2018 to I want to say 2020 or 2021, they kept updating it and updating it and updating it and releasing new DLC until it got into a very playable state. So I guess when you guys played it in 2020, or when did you played it last year?
Yeah, last year.
2024. Nice, 2024. It was probably in a great state. Did you experience any problems or nothing at all?
A little. I mean, the jank the game naturally has, and I feel like the occasional crash here and there, but nothing too weird.
Yeah, I'm trying to think too, because I'll be honest. It took me 3 tries to get into this game. I don't know why.
Sure.
I tried one time years ago. Yeah, and it was just I couldn't get through the Ratte opening just because I was I just can't find my groove. And then I don't know what it was. You started playing, or Gooch started playing, and he was talking about it, and I saw the trailers for KCD2, which just looked amazing. And I'm like, all right, I got to give this another shot. And once I finally did, it was a pretty smooth experience. Like Gooch said, aside from a bit of jank and like it's not as polished as, of course, even the second one is. But I had a really great time with it. I especially liked just the very in-depth alchemy system. I think that's my favorite part of this game, even the second game. But I had a great time with it for the time that I spent with it, especially having that later build. I did not know that it was kind of so shitty at the beginning there.
Yeah, it was horrible, but it was such a great game, even from the start. Like, the story immediately captivated me. Henry is a great protagonist, fantastic. It's very unique to really start from the bottom, because when you start with Henry in KCD 1, he's a klutz. Like, he can't do anything. He can't fight. He basically can't do anything. So you really start from the bottom, which is such a cool premise. So I love that from the start. And to see him rise further and further, and then the game ends at a cliffhanger, of course, which was also pretty contested back then, but
I bet.
But
because it's what do we even do? know, at the end of KCD 1, and you didn't know a sequel was coming.
Yeah, exactly. The whole premise of the game was basically get your sword back, and then at the end of the game, you don't get your sword back. So everyone was like, "What the hell?" But they made up for it in 2, of course.
Yeah, I did think it was important to kind of give that prelude, because I feel like, I'm like this with all games mostly. If it's a sequel, I'm like, you should probably play the first game. Maybe if we're talking about something like, Doom, we were talking about Doom recently.
Right.
I think you're all right to jump into the Dark Ages and, you're cool. From a narrative perspective, even from a gameplay perspective. But KCD 1, I really feel, I'm like, if you're not playing that first game, you're kind of robbing yourself of this progression for Henry and the plot. Like, you're coming in right in the middle of all this stuff that's going on, and I could see easily you getting lost, or maybe not connecting with the larger
narrative.
I was gonna say narrative, but events going on, because I feel like there's a lot of investment for initially as somebody who played the first game.
Well, especially just with Henry, obviously, and I think I got to give Warhorse a lot of credit for creating a character almost like Geralt, in the way of you gave us this character and he's already pretty set, but you let us live as this character, and they very successfully made him someone interesting, especially by the end of KCD 2. Henry is fantastic, and I think Tom McKay, who plays him, right? Is truly amazing in the role, and by the end you fully are invested in Henry, even in the first game. And that's hard to do, I think, with a laid out protagonist like that, when you're just giving them, it's not kind of an RPG setup, or it's just a very kind of specific, setup. But
Henry isn't he is a blank slate, but he's also not at the same time, like Geralt.
Right.
Geralt clearly is not going to do certain things, and I think I haven't played Witcher 3 in a while, but you can't just do anything you want.
Sure, yeah. But you kind of can almost, though, and that's what I think is amazing about
I'm trying to even remember if there are any really weird out of character decisions that he does. You can't just go into towns and kill people. You can in KCD too.
And there is that one near the end of the game, but we could definitely go on.
Real quick before we go on, I noticed I didn't switch something over. Make sure Locke's audio is coming through. I can't see it.
Sure.
With the chair in the way.
Gotcha.
Because I heard Discord bleep, and I was like, oh shit, I didn't flip something back over. So before we continue.
If there's an issue, I'm also recording audio, so don't worry.
Is he? He should have just.
I'm seeing both bars go. Yeah.
Okay, if both bars are going, then we're good. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Yeah, so I forgot to flip. I flipped over to my speakers on my computer to hear the audio test, and I never flipped them back. But in OBS, it's set to the right thing. And I heard that, and I was like, oh fuck. But you're recording too, so
we're all good.
Yeah, we're good.
Nice.
But I don't know. Do you want to just jump right into it? Our general thoughts?
Yeah. Locke, do you want to tee us off? I feel like you probably finished. Well, you and Trio might have aligned the same time, because I haven't listened to your review over at Last Stand, which you go check out now. It was behind the Patreon wall. It's not anymore. And it seemed like it took everybody on the panel a while to fucking get through it, just like it did for me. So. Yeah. What'd you think of the game?
What did I think of the game? I thought the game was amazing, fantastic. It's one of my favorite games of all time. I don't want to put it in my top 10 yet, because it's been so fresh, a lot of people right now are putting Expedition 33 at their favorite game of all time. I don't really buy into that. I don't really buy into that recency bias. So a year from now, it's very possible that it lands in my top 10 because I enjoyed it just as much as I enjoyed The Witcher 3 or Red Dead Redemption 2, for instance. Those are the two games that reminded me the most of. It took me a very long time. It took me 160 hours spread over, I'm going to say 3 months or 4 months,
Wow.
which is a lot of time. Normally, I don't have that much time to put into one game, but this one deserved it for sure. I think the way Henry evolves over the course of the game, the way the map expands, the way the villains get a light shine on them, I thought it was brilliant. I haven't played a game like this since Red Dead Redemption 2.
I mean, I can't help but echo you, Locke. Honestly, like you kind of took the words right out of my mouth. Especially, I think when it comes to the writing of this game, I think there's such like a vast array of like
It's got such a
tones.
panache.
Well, there's a panache, but like
it's-
also like I feel like we're diving between like very real dramatic moments and like
Yeah.
comedic elements within scenes,
Yeah.
but not in a way that like distracts or that can like lessen the impact. There's a lot of almost like Monty Python-esque like writing.
Like,
I feel
Dry-
like especially
Dry
Yeah, yeah.
Devil comes to mind. Where it's like,
100%.
this character is like kind of a joke.
Well,
Like,
and even that one scene, there's one great interaction. I think you can get it in a multitude of different ways. I posted it on Twitter. It's just like Henry talking to some guy, and I don't know how it turns into like a your mom joke, and he's like, "It smells like your mom," and then the guy goes, "My mom's dead," and he goes, "Mine is too," and then it's just this moment, and then they just move on, and it's one of the funniest moments of the game for me, and it's just this moment in time that you don't even have to actually experience, and that's I think one of my favorite parts about this game is there's so much choice, and there's so many directions you can take Henry as a character, and I really enjoy that. But Gooch, what did you think?
yeah, it's incredible. One of the first things I noticed about it was how true of a sequel it is. I think if you look back at even Witcher 3, Witcher 2 to Witcher 3, they're vastly different games in like every manner. I was thinking of an example earlier, something else, but yeah, that's a good example really. But like KCD1 to KCD2, the core of the game. Yeah, it's a lot prettier and like the systems are a lot more refined, but it's like the same game. Down to the menus, down to everything. Like it's like this worked, we just need to refine it a lot more and put a lot more money and time into it. And that's what KCD2 is. It's a sequel to what we'll call a very fine game to make it now a very great game.
No, it's true. It almost feels like kind of what they were really attempting to go for with the first game. And it was funny going through the first game, you know, with Henry being a blacksmith's son and all that kind of element being in. I was very surprised that like that wasn't a bigger part of blacksmithing of the first game. And
Yeah.
I loved seeing it brought into the second game. And, you know, not every game can have all these super in-depth mechanics where I have to strike the blade every time and it's going to be this kind of more long, drawn-out process. But I kind of like that. I don't know why. I really love those moments of sitting there by the fire. I'm brewing my potion. I have to put the stuff in the pot. I have to boil it for a certain amount of time. I have to pull everything out. It's set up in a way that's very intuitive and it's just all buttons on my controller. I haven't seen systems like this in an RPG in a while. And I think that's probably one of my favorite elements of the game.
Yeah.
But what did you guys think of, you know, we talked about Henry a little bit, just like his growth throughout the game. Like by the time, like we see him at the beginning, he's this kind of bloodthirsty killer, or this bloodthirsty kind of on this, not bloodthirsty, but he's on this revenge quest.
Yeah,
and then
he's
you can kind of
he's
take
got
it
a
either way.
bloodlust
For sure.
Yeah.
But what did you think of Henry? Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
are
Locke,
you
go
go
ahead.
ahead?
Are you guys diving into spoilers immediately, or do you want like a spoiler-free section?
Yeah,
first?
so we usually like at some point we just hit a spoiler. I think it's fine.
I think we can just let spoilers loose on this
Yeah,
one.
we usually don't do spoiler free because I feel we
Sure,
just go into
sure.
it. So yeah, say whatever you want to say. Spoiler warning. You've been
Sure. Well, I think the most important part to me, anyway, is how Henry deals with both of the main villains here. How he deals with Istvan Toth and with Markvart. Because with Istvan Toth, you can choose to like be a coward and push him out of the window or like backstab him, or you can duel him. And the same with Markvart, really. You can like give him the honorable death, or you can just let him die.
Yeah.
Which is really cool because they really give you a choice to develop your own Henry, kind of like they did in The Witcher 3 with Geralt. Like Geralt is an established character just like Henry, but you still get to choose how they evolve in this game. Because if you make Henry a bloodthirsty bastard, his parents like disavow him at the end in the little dream that he has, right?
Okay, that didn't happen for me. They were commenting on some things, and I'm like, Yeah, they never went that far. My mom was like, "You've done some fucked up things, but like maybe it was necessary." Like I never got the like you're horrible.
We're never speaking to you again.
Yeah, I'm never speaking to you again in this life or the next.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I'm surprised to hear that.
There's basically only 3 choices that the parents comment on, and that is if you give Markvart the honorable death or not.
Okay.
If you let the Frenchman, what's his call again? Brabant?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Dude, fuck
little
him.
French
That was
bastard. Yeah.
Dude, that was a good reveal, but I'm sorry. Continue.
Well, if you let him go or not, that's
Yeah.
also part of it. And then if you burn down the town or not. Those are the 3
Yeah.
big choices they comment on.
Right.
And-
Okay.
So if you've done any of those 3 things the bad way, but the bad way is still the good way for you as Henry, then they kind of disavow you and tell you like, oh, you're no longer our son. We hate. Well,
That's
we
crazy.
Hate you, but-
I don't like
Yeah.
that at
No,
all.
I didn't even realize that those dream sequences were like results like that. Like that's how well I feel like they're integrated. Where I'm like, oh yeah, duh. That's your like. I'm trying to think of another example, but I don't know.
Like
At the end of
your Fallout
Starfield, where
New
they go,
Vegas
they
end
go through
slides, yeah.
everything of like you did this with this person, this with that person. That's such a more like organic way of doing it. I love those scenes a lot.
I mean, I noticed. I'm like, oh, they're commenting to things I did, but
Right.
I'm like, well, what, like, are they okay? They're talking about Toth, and I gave Markvart the honorable death. Love that speech with him, by the way, when you're talking to him, and
beautiful.
like, it really, like, that doesn't redeem him, but it sheds this like different light on him because like again, like you get, can you miss that? You don't have
can.
to. Yeah, that's what I thought because there's an achievement to go face him, and I'm like, I could have just left him. It said that the quest said this was optional.
That's
like,
right, because you just have to explore his camp, right? And
yeah,
then
and then
you find him in
he
the.
will just die, as we know.
If you leave him and you come back the next day, he's just dead. He just lies there in his chair and he's dead.
Again, I think that's like another example of them really defying expectations in this game in a way that I just wasn't expecting, for lack of a better term. Even with the Frenchman, I did not see that betrayal coming. The only time I kind of got a hint was when he was like sending guys away through the he was like whispering to the one dude to go away and go back and load the gold. But that was a great reveal. Even just, with Markvart and how you have that moment with him and that speech, and he gives, it's not like an excuse, but he's just talking about war and the casualties of war. And he's like, and I like the moment where he's like, I remember your parents. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember everyone I killed. And that really was a good subversion of expectations. Because, you see that in a movie, usually they're like, I don't
what?
even remember who I killed that
You know
day.
what line I thought of? This is funny. I hope Block you know.
Oh, is this
Street Fighter?
Yes.
The line from Street Fighter where M. Bison goes like, for you, like burning down, you're killing your parents, burning down your village was like a big deal or whatever he says. But for me, it was just Tuesday. This is like the total opposite.
Yeah.
Where like Markvart is like, I remembered everybody I kill. And like, but you encounter characters who are like very much not like that.
100%.
And
Tough.
the fact that like he remembers and it like stuck with him and like, it kind of like, it's just like, oh, it like makes you hesitate. But I'm like, nah, I can't let it, I gotta kill him.
Yeah.
Like I didn't,
Yeah.
Henry wouldn't walk out of there. Like,
And it does feel like, and I guess it is the more honorable choice, because I feel like if you almost want to make him suffer more, you just leave him there to die and rot overnight.
Yeah.
But
You,
sorry, go ahead.
go ahead. Sorry.
No. Please go.
You basically feel sorry for him at the end, right? Like he builds up sympathy for you as the player because he tells you it's not personal, basically. And the thing that really got me is that he tells Henry that he has like a wife and daughters, and that it's not personal. It's just war. This is just what happens in war. I was like, oh,
Right.
yeah, probably, yeah.
One thing I really like, they never try to brainwash you with the Wenceslas Sigismund thing. Not at one point do they like, I'm like, Henry, like, what the fuck do I even know about this conflict?
It's
or
true.
like why I'm fighting for this side. They never really like, let's tell you why Wenceslas is the best king ever, and we're shoveling it down your throat, and you're like, you're on that side. And when he's like, when there are options about Henry being loyal to Wenceslas, I almost feel like he's just saying it. He doesn't actually believe it because it's like it's so above him. He's not a big player in this conflict. So like, what the fuck would he know? he is just a soldier in a way.
Well, and I do think they did. This game does a great job of doing, I feel like, what Assassin's Creed used to do in the way of using historical events as really interesting set dressing. And, that's part of it. It's tertiary to the story going on, but you're really there for obviously Henry's story and his revenge plot. And I felt like by the end, Henry was almost just like, he's doing the honorable thing because King Wenceslas should be king, and Sigismund came in and did the thing he shouldn't have done and tried to invade Bohemia and killed his family. So I feel like it's hard for him not to see Sigismund as that enemy. And that moment where you get to serve him as the cupbearer and stuff like that, I thought that whole scene, this game does just talking moments so incredibly well. And I like there were nights I'd get on and I wouldn't kill a person. I would just be talking. I was in Kuttenberg for God, it felt
hours.
like days. And it's truly fantastic. I don't know, Locke, what did you think about the whole Sigismund scene and like the banquet scene?
What's really funny, do you know you can end the game right there if you kill? You can kill Sigismund, which is really funny. It's really funny that they implemented that.
I did see that, yeah.
But no, that sequence was amazing because that's the first time you meet you think you meet the main bad guy, like this is Sigismund, the evil king. But then you realize oh, he's just a king. Like he's not evil at all. Like he's dealing with
just
these
very
idiots.
normal.
And he seems to genuinely think he's doing the right thing.
Yeah,
at least,
yeah. Well, he also was doing the right thing, kind of, because Wenceslas was a horrible king.
It's true.
The only reason why people are so against Sigismund is because he took it, he stole it. But he was a way better king than Wenceslas in history, anyway.
Right,
he was a better king than.
That's the
Wenceslas.
impression I got. That I'm like, why are they fighting for Wenceslas? He doesn't want it. Like I read the codex entry on him, and it seems like they're kind of doing the right thing. But again, you're right. Like Sigismund is coming from Hungary and invading another country to take the throne, regardless of his actual credibility to being a better king. It doesn't really matter.
And he's also letting his army sack all of these cities to just pay for them, basically. So that's really going to inspire.
Yeah, and I think that's what the first game does well. The cumin stuff, you really feel like there are these foreign savages coming into your land and pillaging and raping.
Because they just have no idea who these people are,
The brutality of it is really high in 1. But I feel like in 2, it's not...
It's more gray.
Not that, but I feel like the picture is painted a little bit more, where you're finding out the cumins are not so bad. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
No, and I like that the quest line with the one cumin who you kind of, at least I befriended a little bit.
Yeah,
and then you find out he was at Ratai, right? I actually kind of half missed that. Like when he was talking about it, I don't know how, because you told me, Gooch. But again, another example of like you're saying, filling out the world, I think in an interesting way, because they are just one-dimensional in the first game. They're the invaders, they're the bad guys. What did you guys think of just the different systems and I guess even just your persuasion systems? I loved how it set it up in the beginning, how you create your Henry, and there are all these dialogue choices. What did you think about that? The setup.
Yeah, I liked it. It's interesting. I thought it was deeper at first, but I don't think it really is. My stats were, dude, I was so over leveled by the time I got into the Kuttenberg region, it was out of hand. I was like, I am prepared for anything. So I didn't in the beginning, I found the dialogue stuff kind of hard because I just wasn't leveled up, and I'm like, oh shit, that beginning thing was somebody might not always, even though you have the high, I don't know, the kill one, the one with the skull,
right? That
may not work on this dude. And I think once you get everything high enough, I feel like you kind of get around it. What did you think, Locke?
Yeah, exactly the same. At first, the notion which they introduce it with, at the start, and you ride up with your horses, and then the game basically tells you, oh, watch out, because not every persuasion tactic is going to work with every person. You can't threaten a bandit, or you can't act like a bully towards a noble. But near the end, or when you get to Kuttenberg, really, it doesn't really matter anymore, because your stats are so high. Speech just basically gets you around everything, or at least it did for me. I could basically circumvent every conversation or dialogue that way. So that was maybe... I wonder how it is in hardcore mode, because I'm sure they tweaked it, and it's much harder there. So I wonder, on my second playthrough, I definitely want to play in hardcore mode, and I think they might have adjusted it a little there so that you can't level it up that fast, and maybe that makes it more interesting.
Yeah, no, and it's funny, I think you're speaking to something that I kind of thought. I do wish some of these systems went a tiny bit deeper in their
Yeah.
not hardness, their what's the word I'm looking
Difficulty?
for? Difficulty. Thank you.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, the hardness.
Like eating, I didn't feel like I was getting hungry very often. I didn't feel like I was getting tired very
always had
often.
food, dude.
I was fine on
Always.
food. But even like almost after like a week, I'd start getting hungry, which I guess that's real life or whatever, like real hunger. But I felt like, and it probably will be it obviously will be turned up on like the hardcore mode, but I would have liked to seen a way to tweak that a little bit, make like, me get tired quicker, make me get
Like
more
sort of
hungry
like
quickly.
how Dark Ages have, where you can go in and kind of customize. the
Definitely.
difficulty
And
a
even,
little bit, yeah.
for Starfield, for all its faults, it has a lot of, customization in the menus in that way of like, you can turn up your hunger or you can turn it down, stuff like that. So I definitely would have loved to see them kind of lean into that more. I got my alchemy skill up immediately. I was making bank off my potions at the beginning of the game. It was fantastic. And then I like how you start getting more out of each one. But yeah, I did think the dialogue, like you're saying, by the end was just, you were passing everything. I do, though, appreciate how your clothing affects what you're saying too. Like I think if you're in armor and stuff, you can skill check people with defense more easily. I want to see all that stuff be brought into more games, and even like when you're going to do a quest, it's like you need to be wearing a merchant's gear or something like that.
The presets were a huge. That was big because. I think in the first game I was like, I can't be bothered taking all my shit off.
It's true. Yeah, I thought the armor setup was great. I did feel like I was getting the same armor by like I hit a level, and then by the end I had the best stuff, and I wasn't finding anything else. Did you guys find that, Locke? Did you?
Well, my issue was I was playing as a thief, so I leveled up my thieving skill, and I always wore black clothes at night so I could just break into stuff. And when I got to Gutenberg, the first thing I did was break into one of the armor shops, and I basically stole like the best armor in the game. So I used it all game.
Yeah.
But I got to that point before the halfway point. So you're absolutely right. There needs to be an incentive to get you better loot later on, which the game doesn't have at this point. I think they're going to add that in DLC later on. But even with your swords or your other weapons, you basically get the best equipment or can get the best equipment even before the halfway point of the game, which is, of course, an issue. No game should have that because that takes away your progression system for a very long time.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because, like, honestly, I don't have a lot of negatives in this game. I know, I don't know if you guys got to it in your spoiler cast, Lock. I wrote in a very weird one that was like, it was talking about how, like, you can't go in any churches. None of them.
Oh, yeah. True.
And I was like, that's very odd because I feel like there could have been a lot of time spent to make them, so maybe they cut everything.
That's a good point, actually. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, and there's a few churches you can go in, and they're small in the first game.
And there's the monastery in Gutenberg, right? That's going to be part of a DLC that you can't go into as of now. Yeah, so that's going to be part of I think, the next
not
DLC.
the painter one that just came out.
I think it's going to be like a pretty big one. There's some type of like investigation or something that you take part in.
But yeah, I was like, okay, I hate when games do this. KCD did it. With like the Twitch Prime stuff, and you can get a lot of good gear from that. So the sneaking cut purse things you got from whatever Twitch drops, like those I had on the entire game, and yeah, I felt like I was not progressing in my armor all that much at all. I think like I was in the Trotsky region for maybe like 90 hours until I got to Gutenberg, and like Locke just said, I did not upgrade my gear all that much after that.
It's funny.
And it felt like I'm like, am I missing something?
Yeah.
like am I just kind of stupid right now?
The only thing I found myself upgrading, I kept getting new like noble gear that I'd try and like to make my character look cool and stuff like that. So like that's basically it.
Cool, yeah.
And I was like matching my horse with like my I posted the Twitter thing. Like I was having a lot of fun with that. But yeah, once I got a certain set of armor, I just was finding like the Maidenberg something or other. I was like, I can't get anything higher. I'm not finding anything higher. And even with your swords and stuff, you get like the great long, I can't even remember the broadsword, something like that. And once you upgrade it with like fully, or you sharpen it with like Henry's skill sword? Fully upgraded. No, there's actually another sword that's better than Radzig's sword. You can like make an even better sword than Radzig's sword, like with a fully upgraded smithing perk. Mm-hmm. And you just, was destroying people. But I guess while we're on it, what did you guys think of the combat this time around? Because that was definitely my biggest gripe on the first game. But Locke, what did you think?
I think it started out way better than the first game. Like when you have your first sparring session with Hans, I was like, oh, it's not as janky anymore, which is awesome.
100%.
But again, the only problem I have, basically with the entire game, it's my only negative. Like you also said, it's my only negative with the game is that it becomes so easy after a while. After a couple of bandit fights, I just leveled up my what was it called? Warfare. Yeah. And it became so easy to just kill 3-4 people. And in the first game, as you remember, killing 2 people was almost impossible until you got to the end.
It's true.
But here you can just whack everybody and you're basically fine. Even near the end, there weren't really any stronger enemies. I was expecting to get like more army enemies or more harder armor or something that would make it harder, but that never really happens. So my one criticism again is that it becomes too easy too fast. So maybe they should have mitigated that some way. But I thought the combat was great. The only issue is I only use my sword. I only use my sword and my shield because I got that upgrade, that perk where you can use the shield with
the long
Serratic sword. Yeah, with the long sword. So those are the only 2 weapons I used. I never used the guns either. Did you guys use the guns ever?
Dude,
every once in a while to just mess around with them. But yeah, I rarely actually pulled out my big stick and just popped someone.
Yeah, okay, so I'm glad you bring that up. I think the melee is pretty fine. And you have what's cool is you have, your different weapon slots, so you can kind of equip multiple things. You get the belt and the pouch or whatever, and that enables you to have like 4 things.
Right.
So I was kind of like, I always had like a sword, a blunt, and a ranged. But and I was always sticking to sword. Sword just seemed the way to go. I've never been like a mace or like a like a hammer kind of person in RPGs. So I was always sticking with the sword too. But the ranged, I think that's kind of where the jank remained. The range just never seemed worth your time.
So you know what? I barely touched the bow and arrow throughout most of the game. I was mostly using the crossbow.
Okay.
It's like I think night and day compared to the first game with the bow and arrow. Like the way you aim down the sight, you actually like line up with the arrow, and you can actually make.
With that thing.
I don't know. I felt like it was much more usable, and even the crossbow. I agree. It was kind of hard to use the crossbow. There's one quest where you have to shoot it's like a pigeon shooting contest.
Yeah.
Guys, I was sitting there trying to beat it. I think for 2 hours. I couldn't do it. I just kept missing, and I finally did it, and I beat it.
I did that and realized I was pretty shitty. And I used there's a few achievements to get with the gun, the pistol. I guess that's how you say it.
Yep.
And the crossbow, and I'm like, I fucking suck with this shit. Like, what's going on?
What did you think about the range lock?
Well, I think that was the goal of the game. The goal of the game, range does suck in real life, like especially in that time. So in most games, like if you play Skyrim or if you play Oblivion or any Bethesda-inspired first-person RPG like this one, range is always the best option because it's so easy to that's why everybody always makes like a sneaky archer, even though you don't start out wanting to make one. You always end up making one near the end.
Yeah.
But here it's almost impossible because, like you said, like even the bow and arrow doesn't do enough damage. Like even if you headshot someone, they always wear a helmet, so it doesn't really matter. So at the end of the day, melee is what you end up with anyway. So I thought the ranged was like in the first game, not really all that serviceable, but that's on purpose. They did that on purpose. I think at least they did that on purpose.
No,
it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it does kind of make sense, but it's kind of shitty at the same time.
Yeah, but again,
I guess that's the way it is.
Go and use the bow from KCD1 though, and then use 2. I do think it is I know it still sucks, but so much better than it used to be. One thing I do think that is a little bit game breaking in the combat is when you learn the I don't know what it's called, like the active counter, like when they're
the
master strike.
Yeah, and when when they're so if someone's coming at you one way with one of the directions, you have to go across the other way or the opposite way and hit the trigger. And I mean, why would I use anything else aside from a longsword once I have that? I'm just destroying everyone. And I did appreciate that there was more like directions in the first game, right? Didn't they cut it down to 5?
Yeah.
Which I liked a lot more, was much more manageable, and I felt like blocking and just especially one-on-one combat was super satisfying. But yeah, there's one tournament in Kuttenberg, I fucked everyone up with my longsword, especially even on the shield and sword, or the shield and hammer. One little tiny menu thing that I thought of that really annoys me. It's such a mini nitpick, but so there's tabs and then there's tabs within the tabs on the menu. to change the master tabs, you use the left and right triggers. And then to change the tabs within the tab, you use the left and right bumper. Should be the opposite, guys. What are we doing? I don't know. My brain can't learn it because like I feel
is
like
the opposite.
Yes, but it just makes more sense logically
I
to
can't
me
tell
that
you,
like
playing both, I was like, what the fuck am I doing?
it's like the higher tab. Again, that's something so minor and nitpicky that I can't even begin. But the menus themselves are beautiful.
Look, you played on PC. I had a lot of menu slowness, stuttering, map stuttering. I think that was like one of the biggest performance issues I had. Did you have any performance issues on PC? I can't remember 4 months ago like what the situation was on PC. I mean, like in general, but
I was expecting, because like I said at the beginning, when I played the first one, it was abysmal. And I was expecting the same thing here, but I had 0 issues on PC. The reason why you were the reason why you were experiencing those issues on consoles is because when you go into the menu and you see Henry, that's a live version Henry. That's not like a little image or something. He's wearing the clothes you're wearing at that time. You can rotate him and stuff. So that's like that's why it lags or lags.
Like a
that's
live
why
model.
the FPS.
Yeah.
And that's why the FPS drops on console. But they should be able to fix that, I assume, at some point.
I was gonna say
on PC it was fine.
Yeah, I didn't run into much on my PS5 Pro. I felt like the menus were pretty slick and moved rather quickly. Again, those slots, the armor slots were genius. I don't know how that was. Like it's just such an easy thing to put in, and it was nice to be able to swap like between my merchant outfit and my guard outfit or whatever.
I had like like town outfit, stealth outfit, armor. I'm assuming that's kind of the idea of it, right?
Yeah.
I guess you could have 3 different forms of armor.
Mm-hmm.
But,
yeah, you could have like a lighter one.
Yeah.
But what did you guys like think about stealth? Because I think that was actually one of my like favorite parts of this game. What did you think?
I mean, to just put it simply, it seems like an improved, better version of what KCD2 had. I don't think it's anything wild. It works. It's not too janky. I didn't really have a problem with it.
Right.
But is it like the greatest thing ever? Wouldn't say that. How about you, Locke?
Well, I played primarily as a thief because that's what I did. That's what I learned in the first game. So this time, primarily in like the Trotsky region, I was just robbing everyone constantly.
I was doing the same, yeah.
And then constantly robbing everyone and then hiding your stuff because if you keep it on you for too long, if they catch you with it, they'll arrest you and they'll take it off you. So I was just hiding it in a chest until the time depletes and then you can get out of there. I thought the stealth, like you said, it's serviceable. It works. It's of course not. It's such a huge game, so they can't excel. They can't make like a thief game, of course. Right. So I understand. To me, it was perfectly fine. It worked to me better than it did in Skyrim, for instance, or other first-person RPGs, or Fallout, or whatever. So I think they did a pretty good job. It was fun to like distract guards where you throw like a stone or something.
I love the pebble.
I forgot that existed for like half the game.
Dude, that's so. I forgot it existed for a little bit too.
I did not use it all that much.
It's so helpful. I mean, that's like genius. And I gotta say, I don't know what you guys feel about the lock picking, but I liked it a lot better this time around. I thought it was much more manageable, and I didn't feel like I was breaking nearly as many. Yeah. All of those little mini thief games, even the pickpocketing, again, they're expansions on the first game, but I feel like fine-tuned them so well. And we rarely see, I feel like, new lockpicking or like mini games. Stuff like that.
It's so funny playing Oblivion Remastered, and it's like this lockpicking feels really good, even though it's like fucking 15 years old.
That is funny.
It's also the more you do it, the better the game makes you get at it. So eventually it becomes super easy, of course. But when you first start out with the lockpicking, it's super annoying. But after like the 10th, 20th time, it's like, oh, okay. And then when you get to like the master lock perk in your perks, the easy locks just open. Like you don't even have to do the mini game anymore. So, yeah.
I do think a lot of the skill trees in this are mostly useful, but I did go like long periods of time, I should say, without using my skill points. I didn't realize, I'd go into my menu and be like,
really?
Oh, I have like 16 skill points.
Oh my God, what?
I got to points where I had like 25 or something.
How'd you do that?
Because it was just, it was it would be like one perk or this or 2 on one perk. And I was like, oh shit, I haven't like leveled up my character in 3 hours.
Oh my God.
And, you were like level 28 by the time you got to Trotsky, right? Or something like that?
Kudenberg, yeah.
Yeah, Kudenberg. I was
so
like, because
high.
I'm getting to the second area and I'm like, Gooch, what level are you? He's like 20. Yeah, you're like 27 or what? I'm like, oh, I must be like 30 something then. I don't know. And then I went back and checked mine, and I think I was 23.
Dude, I did everything I could before
I
I
thought I
left
was
Trotsky.
too, though. That was the funny thing, because I went back to Trotsky, which I didn't realize you could near the end.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's nothing, or at least maybe there's some quests that I'm missing.
I don't know if
'cause-
anything opens up afterwards.
Well,
there.
and I like
you
how the
leave.
quest givers work. I didn't realize Gooch informed me of this. Like, you go to them and then they illuminate people on the map, right? Those like exclamation,
tipsters,
yeah,
yeah.
the tipsters. So I like that system, but I don't know. Locke, did you feel like the leveling system made sense to you, or like felt like organic? Were you like super high level by the time you got to Gutenberg?
Exact same issue. It's not really an issue, but the same thing happened to me, where I was just leveling my main levels, and I had no idea there was a subcategory of like
That's
special
fucking
levels.
wild.
I know that was in the first game too, but I completely forgot about that. So I just was leveling my main levels and figured, oh, this is cool. But it wasn't very easy because I wasn't leveling my sub levels. But then when I checked that tab finally, and I also had like 30 points there, I was like, oh shit, okay, well, let's level up everything now. So I guess it works. I do love the system that Oblivion also uses, that where you do something
Yeah.
and then you get experience in it. I think that's wonderful. That's way more fun than doing it like Skyrim, where you just pick a perk every level. I think this is way more fun.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
It's more that like, I don't even know if that's correct. I was gonna say D&D system. I mean, you have much more experience in CRPGs than I do, and I know that Trio does. I'll speak for him. So I play we play D&D, so like I understand how it works, but it does feel like even though it's not D&D, it feels like D&D. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
So one, I guess other negative for me about these games, both of these games, was I would love to see, I don't know how you do this, and maybe it's just so out there, but like I would love to see maybe more kind of dungeon type places, for lack of a better term. I know that's maybe not necessarily the vibe
interesting
that they're
point.
going for. It's, a lot of the stuff takes place in these towns, and I felt like there was way more, reason to go between towns within this game than even KCD 1. But I don't know. I would kind of like to see something like that. There's bandit camps and things like that here and there, but I don't know. What would you guys think about seeing like actual dungeons?
Go ahead, Locke.
Well, the best side quest I experienced in the game was in a dungeon. I was just riding my horse through a forest, and I saw this hole in the ground, so just in the middle of the forest.
Oh,
Oh my
Yeah.
god,
And
I
I
forgot
figured-
about that too. Yeah.
I figured, what the hell is this? So I went down there, and then that whole, what was his name again? Tabu Raza or something
Yeah,
like that.
the night. Yeah.
Yeah, started chasing me. I was like, what the hell is going on here? But I had no idea that was a side quest. I just thought that happened
Yeah.
because it happened organically to me. But normally you're supposed to first go to the town and then get the quest and then
That
go
didn't
investigate.
happen to me. I found it too.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
ran into it
I
as well.
actually
On
did
my
the
way to
exact same
Kudenberg,
thing.
I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah, it was just a hole, and then you hop in, and then you come out, and all the people are talking to you and stuff like
You
that.
fall, yeah.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about that. No, that's a very
Yeah.
good point.
I think going off of what you both just said, I think there's a trade off here.
Yeah.
You don't have dungeons, but you have like those points of interest and a lot of like unique things happening in the world that kind of take the place of the dungeons. Locke, I know I pointed this out to you like when the game first came out with that lady on the road at night.
Oh, yeah, the old woman. Yeah.
And talking about like the Red Dead 2 of it, like you're running into a lot of these weird encounters with weird people. Not so much in Kudenberg. Maybe it's because I was moving around. No, I didn't fast travel that much at all in this game. But I feel like in Trotsky, I was encountering a lot of weird people who were like, just saying weird things and like, like, oh, like who's this? This person thinks I'm Hans. Like, no, I'm not Hans. Like, who the hell are you? Yeah, and like a lot of that happening in the beginning of the game, but not so much the end of the game. So to get back to the point, I think there's a trade-off. There are some dungeons, but I think this is taking the place of that.
No, that's a fair point. I don't know why I didn't even think of that in the way of a dungeon. That totally is a dungeon. Because, I experienced it the exact same way. Found a hole in the ground. That guy chases after you. And there are definitely a few more of those. I do think the side quests are, for the most part, very memorable in this. There are a few kind of, I feel like, fetch questy
for
type
sure.
things here and there. But for being like a historically set, pretty accurate game, they do a good job of like spicing things up for the most part. Like, because I feel like you could easily fall into a trap of like, a historical setting RPG getting a bit kind of boring. I don't know.
I think you brought up a great point that you brought up earlier that I wanted to circle back around. The codex system and I don't know how much you read of the codex system, but it almost feels like a dev diary. It's like, oh, hey, like this was a thing or a town back then, and there's like one record of it. And like this was like the main thing they talked about, so we kind of did our best to recreate it. Or even with characters like Musa of Mali is really interesting, where it's like you're encountering there's one black person in this game, one like actual African. I know we have the gypsies, I forget what they're are they from Romani?
I think it's Romani.
Yeah. And it's like, here's the black person, and like everyone's like, what the fuck is this?
And I did love how Musa, like, he's just so sick of it when you see him. Like Henry walks up and he's like, oh my god, are you okay? He's like, yes, I'm fine. Just do you need help? What's up?
I love his character. I found him in the camp like pretty early on when I got to Kutenberg, and I talked to him, and I was like, this is really interesting. And then going to his codex and kind of saying like, this, Musa Mali is kind of like a combination of people, and like we tried to be like, if there was an African person in Bohemia at this time, like what would it look like? So we tried to fashion
like why he would be there.
Right.
Yeah.
And the same with like Catherine, who again, historically based off of somebody who was with Zizka through most of his adventures, but like this isn't like that accurate to like what this person was, but we're gonna try to be historically accurate, but like cater it to our game at the same time.
Wait a second,
that's
Gooch.
awesome.
Are you telling me Leonardo da Vinci didn't give Ezio Auditore a gun, a hidden gun?
Dude,
what the fuck?
I'm telling you that Leonardo da Vinci did not give Ezio Auditore.
God damn it! No, that is funny. To just touch on that point too, I think the supporting cast in this game is genuinely one of the, like you said, like one of the most interesting, or it harkens back to, I should say, interesting cast since like Red Dead for me, where I'm genuinely invested in these people. Zizka especially, I don't know why, stood out for me. I thought we got out his eye, by the way, for sure.
Oh, dude, the end.
Oh yeah.
I was like, fun. Dude, I'm like, he's gonna lose his fucking eye. Like I knew what's gonna happen.
No, he's like, I think he's my favorite of the side characters. But I don't know, did any of them stand out to you guys specifically? Locke, was there like certain side characters you really enjoyed?
Well, what's funny, maybe you guys noticed, but Zizka is an actual. He's real. Like
I did hear that. Yeah,
he's actually real, and they did a phenomenal job with him. Same with Hans. I think those two were my favorites by far, and the Dry Devil, of course, everybody's favorite, of course. Yeah. So I don't count that one because how can you not love that guy? But I thought what they did with Zizka is that it's so brilliant because basically for the first half of the game, you're fighting your friends. You just don't know it. Right.
Yeah.
So when the big reveal happens and Zizka turns out to be the good guy, you're like, oh shit! So everything starts clicking, and then his personality starts to shine through, and you start to appreciate their battles more. Like the deaths in this game meant so much to me. Like when Adder dies at the end, that really affected me, which I didn't think would happen.
Right.
So I think they did a phenomenal job with the side characters because you spend so much time with them. You spend so much time with Zizka. You spend so much time with the Dry Devil and getting his crew together, and then some of them don't really want to go, or there's issues here and there, or they get into fights. Yeah, and they get into fights with each other, and so it's so organic, it's so real, it's so realistic. Hans the same. I don't know if you guys did the whole Trotsky region before you moved on to Gutenberg, right? Yeah. So that really caught me by surprise as well. Like that, one of the final poacher quests in the Trotsky region is that you find Hans, basically, who's like the poacher boss at the end.
I think he's the ghost or something. I remember asking Gooch because I was like, "Did you get to the ghost yet?" He's like, "No." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool. Let me know."
Well, there was the other ghost who was like the night order guy.
Oh,
too.
right.
I think that was a ghost related quest or something like that. That was really cool. Yeah. But finding Hans, like you start the game. I feel like Hans and Henry, like the two main characters. Hans is gone, like an hour, and I'm just like, where the fuck is he? And then you just find him, like very naturally, like not forced, like he's poaching, and then it wraps back in where he's like put on trial for it, and he's gonna fucking die. You know?
Like he's ready to.
Like I'm
yeah.
like, really? I'm like, and it doesn't make any sense to me how like nobody believes them.
Well,
Like,
I mean,
like,
dude, I thought that was actually my favorite part because it is so believable to me in the way if you just have two beggar-looking dudes showing up to your thing and being like, there's no way to, I'm Hans Capon. He's like, all right, man, whatever. When they shove they shower him in shit and stuff. Oh my god,
Yeah.
it's too. And I will say, the beginning of this game, the way it kind of organically like takes Henry down a peg or two, I think is very well done. That's very rarely well done in games.
Oh, yeah.
Usually it's just like we're
You've
just
been
gonna
drained of your power.
Yeah, we're gonna take your aura away from you or whatever. Like no, he takes a fall off a cliff or whatever, and then
in Kingdom Hearts 3, it's really laughable because like at that point like Sora's like a pretty experienced Keyblade wielder. It's like, nah, he lost his shit. It's just but in this it's like I was wondering. I'm like, well, I know for a fact default I'm gonna have to be able to read. So
Right.
they have to take that mechanic out of the game because I didn't know until my hardcore run, the game actually forces you to learn how to read.
Yeah, it's for the
KCD 1 when you go to the monastery. I didn't know that until I got there in hardcore, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm like, yeah, so I guess in KCD 2, Henry canonically knows how to read, and you start at like level 15. Yeah, I agree. I'm glad you brought that up because in other games, it's like you're back to 0. It's like, what's the explanation?
you just are. Yeah,
It's a game.
But did any like side characters stand out to you, Gooch, at all?
Yeah, like Von Bergau was very interesting. Because he like he switched sides like, or he's deceptive like 3 or 4 or 5 separate times where he's just like, nah, okay, I'm over here. Nah, I'm gonna play the side now. Like I did not see that twist coming with him and Henry and Hans. Of like I guess he knew and he was playing like,
them a little bit. Yeah.
Is it even appropriate to say he played them? Like he doesn't like he's not diabolical about it.
No.
Yeah, like you just wind up, you walk into the ambush, and then the whole game like when you meet Jiska, like you were saying, Locke, and it's just like suddenly the whole game just
flips on its
did
head.
a 180, and it's like now we're fighting him, but like we were cool like 5 minutes ago.
Did you, Locke? Did you find out they were faking it at the fort? Like with what's the fort called that they send you to investigate?
Oh yeah. I found like the real lord in the.
Yes, I did too.
In prison there in jail. Yeah. So yeah, that's where I found that out. What I found really cool is that to go further on Von Berghoff is that when you interrogate the guy and he tells you like the Samines are traitors basically, but they're good guys because you're with them, but you don't know that or at that point. I didn't give them up, so I never got that quest where you have to burn down Samine. But most people did. Did you guys did?
Yeah, I did. I knew it was an achievement, so I was on the lookout for it. I'm like, I didn't look it up, but I just knew it's like you can do this. So I got to that point. I'm like, no, I'm not ratting them because that's probably what that's going to lead to.
I did, like a piece of shit. But when I got there, I was like, whoa, hold up, we're not burning this place down. Like, are you crazy? We're like, let's talk, because then they start telling you what's going on and you figure it all out. But then by like, I think we ended up killing all of Von Berghoff's men, but then we end up burning down Samine anyways because they're like, well, we're fucked. Like, we got to get out of here, the Samine people. So they're like, let's just burn it down and say we died, and then they flee.
Okay.
So yeah, man, there are so many different avenues.
And we haven't even talked about the fucking wedding. You know how long it took me to build up to that fucking wedding? I love these kind of sequences in games. Where it's kind of like the game like takes a back seat and it's kind of fun and you're talking to characters and you're getting to know people. I always love those like big like nice parties in games and stuff like that. But like I'm trying to even think. It was
harkening back to like Witcher
long ago.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to remember the wedding. I do remember enjoying it, but like I feel like the build up to it was kind of my fault. I'm like, here I am 40 hours in, finally getting to the wedding.
Well, it was so cool that you finally saw everyone together for the first time in the game. And the last time, basically. Everyone was there at the wedding. Everyone that was important in the game up until that point was there, which was so cool. Mm-hmm. Like you saw like some of the consequences of your actions, and then it's also such a cool mechanic that they have you search for the guy in yellow, I think, and then it turns out to be Hans, of course. And what route did you guys take to get there? Because I went with the miller, but did you guys go with the blacksmith? Or?
That makes sense. I went with the blacksmith. Dude, the miller. Fuck him.
Why?
He was such a loser.
What do you mean?
I was like, this guy is jerking me around so fucking hard with this alchemy quest. I was like, I did them both because I was like, I got to see them both.
So did I,
I got
yeah.
to the point where I just had to choose. And I'm like, yeah, fuck him. I just didn't like. Even Henry's getting pissed off, and I'm like, what are we doing here? Like the saltpeter shit.
And then the payoff
Literally?
ends up being you get the black powder recipe, right? That's
Yeah.
like the kind of end goal of it.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. I went to the wedding with the miller, but I like Gooch. I did both of the quests, and I did start with the blacksmith though, because I wanted to try out the blacksmithing mechanic
Sure.
and see what that was all about. My girlfriend was not happy by the end of that though, because it was just an hour of me going cling, cling, cling. She's like, "Can you turn that the fuck down?" No. But I need to hear the clings. But yeah. But so I went in with the miller.
Oh, sorry.
Oh no!
How cool is it that during the blacksmithing he like sings or hums the songs of the first game, and then you know you're on the right track? That's such a cool mechanic. Sorry.
Yeah, you know what was funny? I only heard like the full song a few times because I guess I was fucking up. Radzig's sword took me forever to.
Yeah, you said you were having some issue.
I think I looked it up. I'm pretty sure there was a bug with that sword. Like, and it was like, I'm like, why isn't it let me do this? And I did something else and came back to it and I was able to do it, but I'm like, what am I doing wrong?
Sure.
How am I failing this? Which is good that they have a little bit of leeway with that.
Oh, for sure. You felt like you could be a little imperfect.
Oh shit, I have to make a sword? This seems really easy to fuck up. Like, I don't know how to do that.
Well, I feel like the axes and the horseshoes especially were the hardest for those because, you had to manipulate it in such a different way. Whereas, like, the sword, I was just clicking one way. I'm
Right.
like, moving,
Just going up and
slight,
down.
ting, move. But, yeah, real quick, though, what did you guys think of the Godwin sections? Because those actually surprised me a lot.
I was surprised to see them. That's always an interesting choice in game design where they put you in the shoes of somebody else that you like don't really you play as, quote unquote. I don't think I dislike them. I don't really think I like them either. What about you, Locke?
I wish they had a bigger payoff. I wish, because when you start out playing as Godwin, I thought like, oh shit, Henry dies.
I kind of thought that too, yeah.
Something terrible was going to happen
That
to
was
Henry
lame.
here. But it basically turns out that Henry just goes away and gets the army at the end. That's why you're playing as Godwin there, which is pretty stupid.
Right.
You
Especially at the
didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
I did like the section where what are their names? Hanush and Radzig basically wake him up and tell him to go find Hans and Henry. I did like that.
I
section.
was really surprised to see him come back at all.
He's a different voice actor
Yep.
in the first game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he
That was the
has
first
much
thing I
more of
noticed.
I think that voice actor's still in the game, like as other characters who
Yeah,
played him.
he is.
Yeah,
But
a lot of returning, like Henry's friends are just various people.
Yeah.
And I think the voice acting is pretty robust without being super noticeable. Like I noticed the same voices here and there. Like same with maybe the models of the characters. Like I've seen get recycled, but like it's not
Definitely,
bothering
I felt like the
me.
models more than anything. I felt like I did hear Dry Devil a good bit here and there.
Yeah, him especially. I was like, why would
yeah.
you make him like the exact same voice of just some random person?
Yeah.
yeah,
That's true.
And please go ahead.
Go
Lon.
ahead.
No.
No, I was gonna say I was very impressed with Istvan Toth's voice actor. I thought he did a phenomenal job. He reminded me a lot of Ramsay Bolton from Game of Thrones. If you've seen him, that's actually
Yeah. We both
Like-
watched Thrones.
like the way he handled that character. Because in the first game he didn't really have a presence. You saw him twice, 2 or 3 times. Yeah, and then at the end he escapes. You're like, okay, whatever. But here he's really like a little douchebag. You really hate him here. Which is also so shocking because you get to kill him in the middle of the game. I was never expecting that to happen. That was insane to me.
I kind of expected that to happen.
See, I expected once he died, I was like, oh man, Von Alwitz isn't dying this game. I thought he was gonna be like the third, like the third death that you were gonna take, or like the trilogy.
So I know Eric being left alive is a very interesting thread for the next game because that was done for a very specific reason.
For sure.
I went to go fight him, so
So
I
did I.
had the duel, and then
course.
the army comes and you leave. But and Eric kind of does the lot of villain monologue. You're like me, but like if you think about it. Henry and Hans are a lot like Toth and Eric, especially if you pursue the romance, which I like the way they did it. I really did. It didn't feel like this like
Shoved in for no reason type thing, or just like
I felt like they really understood what they were doing with it, because it's not like you can just romance Hans and you guys are like in love. Like, no.
It's like a forbidden romance, right?
It's like a one night fling, and like, well, Hans is getting married, and he does in history, so like whatever Henry and Hans had that night is kind of just like this a fleeting thing, and
That's cool.
yeah. I just thought it was very interesting how like the parallels between those two.
It's a good point.
Those two pairs. Yeah. You brought up a really good point. I'm trying to remember.
Oh, I'm full of them. What can I say? No.
It was between The Last of Us 2 and this game in terms of revenge.
I guess I feel like I enjoy Last of Us Part 2. I'm definitely not like super high on it. I do feel like this kind of does the themes of like revenge and like
cycles of violence
a bit better for me, and just more in a more satisfying way, especially with that conversation with Istvan, or not Istvan, Von Alwitz or whatever. And it's a very good payoff, and like it's understanding these characters. And the thing with The Last of Us is supposed to be different. It's supposed to be much more down and dirty, obviously, and it's supposed to be a bit more, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but for lack of a better term, in your face.
Violent,
yes, yeah, down and dirty, if you will. But I just really liked how it explored those themes, and I just like walked away, I feel like, in a much more satisfactory way, but not to like put Last of Us 2 down to put this one up. I just really like how they tackle that idea a lot. But to really quick get back to Godwin, my favorite thing with Godwin was absolutely when he's playing the priest. I like that scene a lot, where you have to stay drunk enough to talk in Italian or not in Latin the whole time, and you have to kind of do this. You have to broker this peace between these two churches in Kuttenberg. But I think overall his things were definitely forgettable.
Locke, are there any parts of the game that we haven't talked about that you really enjoyed? I mean, there's going to be something we're going to miss. It's a podcast. It's just what happens.
Sure. Well, I think what map region did you guys prefer? The first one or the second one? Because I think the first one had like a more fantasy fairy tale feeling to it to me.
Yes.
So I think I still prefer the first one, even though the second part of the map was way bigger and expansive, and that's when you really get into the grid of the game. But the first part of the game was so. It's basically is two games in one. The developer also stated this, like it's basically KCD 2 and 3, because they could have easily ended it with you killing Istvan,
right?
And then see you next time for
maybe a
KCD
DLC.
3,
right?
Yeah.
No,
yeah, exactly.
That's a really good point. I didn't even really think about it from that angle of like it does feel so much. It's more Oblivion-like almost to a degree, like when you're out in those open fields and those green areas, like that not necessarily obviously like the magic and the high fantasy of it, but no, I do think it's a bit more, I don't know, cozy for lack of a better term. Trotsky, and like you go to all these little different towns, and I liked Samin a lot. This wine vineyard, and you go down to the mill, and you have all these different cast of characters, and once you get into Kuttenberg, like Gooch was saying, it does. I don't know if I felt trapped there, but I felt like I was like, I'm in that region.
I mean,
I'm
I went in there
most of the time.
And I was there for like 6 sessions, no combat.
And, I like that change up of going from like a super suburban, for lack of a better term, just open like field environment to this bustling city. And I loved their representation of it. And it looked very accurate from what I could see.
Yeah.
Just, it's a beautiful game also, just kind of walking down and looking at the grimy streets. I enjoyed it, but I think, Trotsky was definitely my favorite. And just that whole lead up to the wedding was very satisfying. But what do you think, Gooch?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would agree with both of you guys. Trotsky, there's a charm that the Kuttenberg region doesn't have. I think that the plot and what's going on gets a lot more serious. I think that's probably why. Sure. And it's not like a negative thing,
No, for sure.
I think the plot just like the beginning of the game is you're much less involved in like
you're just delivering a letter,
right. And Hans even says it like it's like we were just going to deliver a fucking letter. I thought I was like the only action I was gonna get was like having sex, and like here we are, like we're fighting this fucking war. And the end of the game when they're stuck in Sukdal for like a month, I was like, oh my god, I was like, this is crazy. I did want to talk about the length of this game. It's fucking long. Sure. And the ending, just like in KCD 1, is fucking long. I don't have a problem with it. But I think naturally, as you play other games and as other things go on in your life, the fact that you're like, I'm still playing through this fucking thing. I mean, that happened with me. And I'm like, you know, like I want to get the review done. Oblivion Shadow dropped and Claire Obscura came out and Doom came out. Like, I'm just like, and I'm still playing Kingdom Come. So I think if it was the only game I was playing and wasn't doing much else, I'd be fine with it. But it's weird. I've never had this opinion about length before. And I think my opinion mattered about what else was going on that had nothing to do with Kingdom Come Deliverance. How do you feel, Locke?
Well, I tackled it the same way I tackled The Witcher 3, right? I see a lot of parallels between these two games. Because in The Witcher 3, what I did was, what was that first region? Velen? I did Velen.
Yeah, Velen, you're right.
Yeah. Or White Orchard, you mean. The small
Oh, well,
one.
sure. White Orchard is like the tutorial. But after that, you get to like Velen. Right? Like the big...
Yeah.
And I did Velen, I got to Novigrad, and I stopped for a month, right? And I did the same thing here. I played Trotsky, I got to the castle, I did the castle, I killed Isvan Toth, I got to Kudenberg, and I stopped for a couple of weeks. And that's when
a good idea.
then I played some more, I got to Kudenberg, stopped for a couple of weeks, and then I finished the game. I did the same thing with The Witcher 3, which made them both way more enjoyable to me, because I think if I had to review this like Maddie or other people, you have to like just push for 160 hours. That does not make this game enjoyable, I think.
No.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I even noticed that with like Claire Obscure. I'm like, how the fuck are you finishing this in like 20 hours? Did you do
just Golden Path, I guess.
Yeah. I mean,
like,
the game, believe me, there's not a ton of side stuff, but like there's enough to get like distracted to where the point where like it's not a 20-hour game. Like, yeah, I think doing that is like a total disrespect for KCD2 and what Warhorse did here, because like you're not seeing like really, I think the best parts of the game.
Well, and you're forcing yourself through it so quick and trying to consume anything in a set amount of time. Especially when it comes to like content, whatever it is, even a TV show, I feel like that will affect how you feel about it. But that's just the way. It's just the way it goes, and you're not going to be able to explore it the same way that we can for months on end. And that's why we definitely like to just do our reviews here when we can.
Yeah, I mean, there definitely is a
like,
point where I just put pressure on myself and I'll be like, dude, we got other things coming up, and it's like I'm still fucking playing this game.
But I guess to get back to the length for me personally, there were times where I'm like, all right, I'm getting ready for it to end, but I gotta say, for like a testament to the game, by the end I was like, dude, this was awesome, and I loved every single minute.
I was still
with
invested
it.
as well.
And like those last scenes where they're having their camaraderie, and even like I'm not gonna lie, I shed a little tear in my girlfriend, and I was like laughing. I can't remember, there was a little moment where it was just hilarious. I was laughing out loud. Like, again, the writing in this is fantastic, and it just makes it one of the most satisfying RPGs I've played. It's absolutely my game of the year for this year so far. And I'm
if
real
only
curious
Death
to see
Stranding 2 wasn't coming out.
Well, that's the thing, maybe right. You just wouldn't even think about it. But it's a really fantastic game. I think it's incredible that they managed to make such an interesting story in a historical setting like this that could just, like I said, be boring, and just Red Dead does it too. They take a setting that could be very one note and kind of whatever, and make it fantastical and interesting, and make you want to keep coming back for more. And it's a big testament to Warhorse. This is everything that Kingdom Come 1 felt like it wanted to be.
Yeah,
more.
I do have a closeout question, but before I get there, I just want to make sure we cover everything. And I did want to talk about the DLC. Did you get a chance to jump into the Painter one, Locke, or no?
What I'm doing right now is what I did for the first game. I'm going to wait till all the DLC is out, then I'm going to start again and play on hardcore mode with everything included.
I like it.
So
I'm doing the same thing. I'm like, I want to get some other things off my plate, and I'll jump into the DLC later. I mean, so basically, then we probably all experience like the Barber edition,
right?
And then
of course,
is that armor quest only a pre-order thing?
I think it is. I don't have
it.
Okay.
Oh well, did I pre-order it? I guess
I got like the deluxe edition.
Oh, I don't think I got that. By the way, Henry looks like a total Chad in this, and I love it. He just looks like, I feel like they gave him a little bit more of a chisel. I don't know what it is.
I hate the barber stuff in games because I like the way Henry looks, and I feel like him with a beard.
You like canonical Henry?
Yeah, I like default Henry. And you know what I also like? That armor in the beginning, you can't get that.
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
I looked it up and I'm like, what is this look? You can't.
It's amazing.
You can find all your armor and stuff at the fort, right? Like when you're investigating it, because they
you can?
I think you can. I don't know if you can get it,
Oh.
but I thought like you can find like your crest, like a shield with the Lords of Lipa crests, and like
Okay,
they have your
but
armor like sitting. I don't know if you can take it.
Right, or
But-
maybe it's not like your exact set. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, this is the gear we had, huh?
Right,
You know?
right. Yeah, no, that's a good point. Anything? What was the question? I'm sorry.
I just if there's anything else, I know the DLC I wanted to bring up just in case we had played it, which none of us did. But this game is huge. There is so much to cover.
Who do you guys romance? Who do you end up with?
That's a good point.
I was just kind of I was just kind
I
of
was a bit
messing
of a-
around
I was a bit of a man
with
whore.
Catherine and Hans. Like I wanted to see the Hans thing. Like
Yeah.
Oh, that's
cool,
cool.
yeah.
Actually, yeah.
yeah, but you know what? You know what's funny? Do you feel like there is like a canonical romance? Because he talks about Teresa like he's still with her.
So yeah,
Well,
that's.
that- yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Lock,
go ahead.
please.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say,
you're-
like, for the like the romances, I agree with you, Gooch. Like, I didn't know if I felt like a super big pull towards anything. I did like the one girl by the end, which I don't remember her name. I feel bad. Catherine, who is I guess that's her, who's the Lord's like daughter with the
No,
crossbow.
that's-
Oh, that's
Rosa?
Rose.
Rosa, yeah, I thought she was like an
I
interesting.
think I missed
character.
my op with her.
Yeah.
Nothing happened.
You missed your shot, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I I don't know why I thought of Teresa at the beginning. I didn't even like she didn't even occur to me by the end. I totally forgot. But what did you do, Lock?
fucking boyfriend.
Well, I stayed loyal to Teresa throughout the whole game. So I got the after credit. There's a secret after credit scene, which you get, which is Henry goes back to Rate and Teresa's there waiting for you. That's the secret ending.
No
which is-
way!
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So you can like to get that you can't romance anyone or do anything in any bathhouses,
Yeah.
or does that matter
Yeah.
too?
I think bathhouses are okay, but you can't romance anyone. You have to stay loyal to Teresa throughout.
I see.
Which I didn't look because I thought she was going to be in this game. So I figured, well, I'm going to stay loyal because she's going to show up at some point. But she never did until the end. Until
Wow.
the very end.
I mean,
Because you mention her
mean-
like at the beginning, like because they ask it
there's
in
a
the
few
like circle
different
thing.
points
Yeah.
where like somebody will ask, like, "Oh, you got a woman in your life?" And it'll be like, "Yeah, Teresa, back in Red Tie," So that's interesting that they go back there because I'm trying to think. I know there's that scene with Jessica Sukdal. There's one, the Sigismund scene. That is pretty funny. We're going, we're where he like
I did like
freaks
that,
out and he's like,
actually.
we're going back to Hungary.
We're leaving.
We're out of here.
That, again,
awesome.
acting great, fantastic, just some good writing.
Yeah. I'm interested to see like where this goes. Because here's the problem with the success of this game. Like I think I've brought up many times on this podcast before, Locke, where you have Spider-Man and then you do Spider-Man 2 and like you just can't reach that bar again. There's just a prop, like whether it's narratively or gameplay, or it's like, well, it's the same fucking game, so like, how could it beat the game that started it? I think Warhorse, if they do a direct sequel to this game, running into a problem where like it's pretty good. Like, what can they possibly do to make it better?
Well, that's already been solved for them, luckily, historically. Because I know what they're going to do. In the next 20 years in the story or in history, nothing happens. But 20 years later, in this region, the Hussite Wars take place, which are basically a religious war.
Yeah.
And in that war, it's Zishka versus Hans. So I think it's pretty clear that that's what they're gonna do. 20 years. They're gonna
Shit.
20 years into the
No, you can't do that.
That's really cool. So that's like a
Cancel
real.
the history.
That's a real historical event. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
So-
I remember them, like, especially with Ziska. He dies in the Hussite Wars or something like that. Like, they say
Well,
it.
Don't want to spoil it. But
yeah, in
Like,
history.
I mean, when the Codex tells you what happened, like,
Oh, it tells you within the codex. Oh,
yeah, it tells you in the
okay.
Codex
yeah.
that he dies in battle. Like, I
guess
knew
that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. And I think Hans also dies in battle. So sorry, spoilers for the
For
game.
history, I guess.
Yeah, spoilers for history. That's a great dude. That's awesome. So you think but you'll play as Henry? You think?
I'm pretty sure they're gonna do a huge time jump of 20 years, and you'll play as older Henry, like
That's
adult
really cool,
Henry.
Dude.
Do you like? Well, I see. My
That's
mind was
crazy.
going towards like. I feel like we hear about Prague all the time. So like, is that the next big city
Yeah.
that they go to then too? Like that would
Yeah.
that make sense? That yeah,
Historically, that would make perfect sense. Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I you know, did they confirm that they're doing a sequel to this? Because I feel like I was thinking about it and I
No.
was like, was there a rumor that they got like like a third party IP? Am I high? Am I
know.
correct?
It's even better than that. What they said is they want to make a sequel, but not now. They want to do something else first.
I
and
think
the
that's a good idea.
And the big rumor is, and it's almost confirmed, is that they're gonna make a KCD light or like game, but set in the Lord of the Rings universe.
That's
because they're
what
both,
it was.
yeah, because
Wow,
they're both
Trio's
owned by
mind just got
Embracer.
fucking
And
blown.
That's insane. Again, I would love, like, there's so many mechanics within this game and just so many smart ideas that, probably existed in some fashion before, but Warhorse really brought to the forefront. It's just those little things, like, even with the stealth and the stealing, like, I stole a sword from a shop one time and I like went around and I like forgot where I got it and I went back to the same shop and I tried to sell it to him. He's like, "What the fuck is this? This is my sword, asshole." Like there's so many great little moments like that, and the further you get away from somewhere that you stole something from, the easier it is to sell it. Certain people don't, I still don't really understand how people know if something's stolen sometimes, but I'll leave that alone.
Right. Game.
These just minor, I guess not even so minor. They're these few like needles that make up the haystack. Terrible, that analogy doesn't make any sense. But it's just things that I would really love to see, even like Bethesda bring in and like Elder Scrolls 6. Just make those systems a little bit more in depth. Make me have the ability to eat, like go tired, go hungry. These types of like immersive things that can really add to the experience. And you know what? Allow us to turn it off too if you want. I think KCD does a really good job of balancing those more hardcore elements and making it more approachable. But we actually did have one of our friends, I remember Penza, he was telling us he did try and pick up the second one and just dive right in, and he wasn't having a great time with it. And I do think, there's a bit of a bar to step over to get into this game, but once you do, it's one of the best RPGs.
I would say the same thing about like Death Stranding. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because I think it's cool that there is no other game like this. Nobody has done, somebody could have done Warhorse's formula. It was out since 2017 or whatever. But nobody did. And it's probably because it wasn't, it was a success, but you kind of had to look behind the curtains and see it was a success. It was like a kind of like a cult hit. I know it was really popular when it first came out. A lot of people were streaming it, but like I think that was like it. But it doesn't mean it necessarily sold poorly. Warhorse is making a game nobody else is making. Similarly to Kojima with Death Stranding, nobody's making Death Stranding.
Right.
So when you go to play a Warhorse game, it's a unique experience, and I think doing something like Lord of the Rings and doing the same thing, but like really putting it on its head is only going to help KCD3.
I agree.
Doing the direct sequel right away, I don't think is the right move, because then you get a Spider-Man 2 situation or Horizon Forbidden West where it's the same game and it's like a little bit better, but like it's hard to say. Like you look at that first one which with so much more reverence than you do its sequel, because it's like the same thing.
Well, it's funny. I'd almost say this is the opposite. I look at the second one with a bit more reverence than the first one, just because it feels like the
but
second
there was
one
so
is
much
like
time, and you can feel it. Like Spider-Man 2 to Spider-Man 1, like it's not the same as KCD 1 to KCD 2.
Right. I guess I just feel like there's almost a bit more refinement from KCD 1 to KCD 2 than
Right,
there even is in Spider-Man 1 versus Spider-Man 2.
That's what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, anything else, gentlemen? Locke, was there anything else you wanted to bring up? I'm trying to think. I feel like we've kind of cut anything you want to bring up, Gooch?
No, yeah. With these big games, I'm always like, fuck, there's going to be that thing we're going to be cleaning up, and we'll be like, fuck, we didn't talk about the music. Right, Locke, exactly. We didn't talk about the music. What do you think about the music?
Incredible. They're still on repeat on my Spotify list. Like the wedding, the song that plays at the wedding when they're all dancing. I love that song. I play it all the time. I put it in all my videos. I love that song. I love that song so much.
Yeah, I think the music is great. It was in the first one, but it's definitely like you can tell like production quality was just higher for this game.
My
Yeah.
girlfriend was I wasn't, but like the like when you're on the menu on your PlayStation and it plays the music, she's like, if I hear that song one more time, I'm gonna punch something. I'm like, I'm sorry, because I've been playing it for just so long, and it's just like I'll leave it on there for a while.
Yeah.
But I absolutely adore the music in this. It's funny, music I would love to pay attention to more, and I feel like it sticks out when it sticks out, like it's very noticeable when it has to be, but it can really add something to a game that you just don't even realize.
I think its music is best when almost sometimes you don't notice it.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
I mean, also the otherwise, sometimes if you don't notice it, it's a bad thing. I think it could be like a both kind of effect.
Bit of
like
Doom the
with
Dark
KCD, it's not like I'm like I hear every track, but I also don't, because it's so good. It just kind of feels so natural in the world,
Yeah.
and that KCD like theme motif is in like every track. So like you'll hear that like all the time.
Yeah.
Even like in the whistle tune you mentioned earlier, like it's the theme.
Absolutely.
he's just whistling the theme song of the game.
I love it.
I this is the last time I'm going to do it. We were talking about Adder earlier, and there's a point. There's 2 lines in this game where they say, "Thy kingdom come," and I was just like,
Oh yeah.
perfect.
There's another one with like a guard where he goes
Yeah,
like, he's like,
I never
"I'll
got
blow-"
that.
He's like, I'll blow you to kingdom come, deliverance. It's again,
I never got that.
I
I
never
thought
did
that was
either.
part of a quest.
It might have been,
It's just
yeah.
a random guard interaction. But yeah, when Adder says it when he's dying, and then I think Markvart says it.
Yeah, he says
And
it too.
I
Yeah.
was like, "Fuck yeah, dude!"
we were all Leo, just
Title
like, yeah.
drop. I was just like, that was perfect. Because when like when I first heard of the game, like the prayer, like that's immediately
course.
what I thought
Sure.
of. So it was cool to see that coming.
And it's a very-
now I'm done.
Jesus bless ever. I mean, I do love how I guess it would be Christianity. It just emanates through all of the society, like it's just there. Everyone's saying
Sure.
Ave Maria. I didn't realize that was a greeting, so that's interesting. But this was really a great time. Locke, thank you so much for coming on, man. Where can the good people find you?
Oh, they can find me, of course, on LSM, where I'm regularly on shows. But I also have my own channel. It's called @LockPlays, because if you search for LockPlays, you don't get my channel, you get something else. But if you search for @LockPlays on YouTube, you get to my channel. I have a new video coming, hopefully tomorrow. Or when does this go up?
So we're recording. What is this?
Saturday, so Monday.
I think we're gonna put this on Monday. So by the time this video is up, your video on what should be up?
Well, that's a surprise. I can't. spoil
Oh,
it.
okay.
Fantastic.
good.
A little bit of sizzle.
It'll be. It's something people are completely sick of hearing of, so you can probably guess what it is. You already mentioned it earlier.
Yeah, then I know what it is.
Fantastic.
Yeah, no, your videos are great. I apologize at the beginning. I did not introduce you properly and be like, "Oh, look, why don't you tell the people who you are?" But
No problem.
I was like, shit. I'm like, we're gonna do it at the end. and
No,
give you links.
thank you so much for having me. This was awesome. You guys did a great job. This was really fun. You guys did a fantastic job. Super.
Dude, thanks,
super,
Locke. We really do appreciate it. And we appreciate you taking time out of your day, especially on a Saturday, to talk about Kingdom Come Deliverance. It's really great to have you here. And yeah, so
come back on sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. You are always welcome,
yeah.
for sure. There was one other thing
cool,
I was
yeah.
about to say, and it just totally fleeted out of my mind.
We were talking about.
Oh, I have one more thing too.
Please go
Yeah,
for it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did you notice in the game? Did you notice the dinosaurs?
Yes.
Like the little. Okay. That's all I wanted to ask.
What
That's-
little No, I didn't. What is this? Little dinosaurs? What?
Yeah. The dinosaurs in that one quest. You find the bones.
No. There's
No?
like in a lot of cutscenes, you can see little raptors running in the background, like actual dinosaurs. They put them in the game. You can
What?
You can look for this on YouTube. Yeah, they're like little Easter eggs. It's just
That's
stupid,
so
but
funny.
they added it
They're
in
like
the
very
game.
far in the background and stuff. Like it's hard to
Yeah.
see, I guess. Or
Yeah, they just run by in the background. You can see like a bunch of. It's in a bunch of cutscenes. You can look it up on YouTube.
That's
It's really
so
funny.
funny.
Easter eggs in this game are pretty extensive and funny. I found a lot of them in the Trotsky region, but I didn't really look through Gutenberg because I was just at a point where I'm like, all right, I just want to be done. But yeah, like the Harry Potter one, I know there's a Beetlejuice one. There's a ton of goofy things, and I think going back to your like dungeon point where exploring and like just kind of coming across that, and like you get the point of interest on your map, like.
there's the
like,
Snow White reference. Did you find those? Her and her dwarves.
No.
It's like a little cabin with like it's a girl like laying in her bed, and then there's like 8 or however many dwarves there are supposed to be, like little
7.
beds next to her. 7. Thank you. Yeah, there's a lot of little stuff like that.
Yeah, the vampire in the mines was also a cool one.
So there's there's another vampire that you can, like an actual vampire that seems to be real in the crypt below. I can't remember where it is. There's one quest where you're at a crypt near Kutenberg, and this like ghost dude comes, maybe Sedlitz. Like he comes up and is like, I need you to collect all the bones around the yard and stack them underneath.
So he's a ghost.
No, he's real. You meet him later. I met him at a town. He's like, hey, what the fuck? I'm like, what are you doing here? He's like, I was just fucking with you, man.
Wait, what?
Yeah, he's a real.
So cool.
Yeah, he's a real guy. But there's also there's a body down there in the crypt that's not decomposing. It's just a guy. He's like, Henry makes a comment. He's like, he looks like he's been here for like 1,000 years, and
you find him. You have to get his sword for a quest, and you make it for the night right outside there. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was one of my favorites. But anyways, we'll wrap it up.
There's some weird stuff in that place. You can find like a corpse of like a baby.
Yeah.
I don't know why you like. I'm like, okay.
All right. Yeah.
This is really fucked up. Anyway,
this has been a grand time. Thank you all for watching with us. We usually do this live on twitch.tv/Delco Nerd Network. We really appreciate your time. You can find this podcast, anywhere podcasts are found. Just search Delco Nerd Network on your service of choice. We got a Facebook page, a Discord channel. All that good stuff will be linked down below. We're on the social medias as well. At Delco Nerds on everything with an @ sign, I should say. All this information is on our website, delconerdnetwork.com. You can even email us your comments, questions, or concerns to delconerds@gmail.com. We're happy to get back to you. But for Locke, for Gooch, I've been Trio. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay nerdy. We will see you next time.